assessment meeting that we do. We focus on everything having to do with real estate, except for tenants and toilets. There's a whole separate meeting for that. Look, we want to keep this very interactive, so that way we can actually talk and learn from each other. And we don't really ever have any set agenda. We have some things we can definitely go over. And so we like to keep this so that way, you know, the connecting, the networking is super, super important. There's a chat box over there. So make sure you put your, you know, if you haven't done it yet, or even if you've done it, do it again. Put your contact information on the chat box, because we want to keep this interactive as possible. That's the power of this group, the power of the Zoom meeting. And at least that way you'll be able to connect, and not just on the Zoom call, but also afterwards. Okay. This meeting over here, again, it's the alternative meeting. There is going to be there's other meetings. The housing provider meeting is going to be next Thursday morning at Ezzy's, 8:30. Networking, 9 a.m. is when they start. It's on Buffalo Road. Go to the FFREIA website, check it out. You can talk about tenants and toilets to your heart is ever so content. Next Thursday night at Ferrari's Pizza. And I think, I don't know if Leon wants to talk about that. That's going to be the general meeting. Leon, did you have anything? I don't know if you wanted to mention that, or if you want me to take care of that for you.
I mean, I can mention it. Certainly, as you indicated earlier, you probably talked about it a little bit, but typically what we've done, we didn't do it last year, but we have what we call vendors night. And so Freedom First has basically two levels of vendors, one at a national level. And so those are places like Home Depot, Rent Perfect, several companies that you would know at a national level, like Equity Trust Company is another example. I can go on and on. It's probably 10 or 12 of those. And then we have vendors that are basically local to our area. And they basically provide services in both areas, services that would be of great interest to someone who was in the real estate investing arena or interested in real estate investing from a general perspective. So what we try to do is have those individuals who are the owners of those companies have closer ties with individuals like most of the folks on this call, real estate investors. And so you, at the local level, you have, of course, folks like real estate agents, insurance companies, property managers, just sort of going, you can go on and on and on down through the list. And so the meeting that we have coming up on Thursday, next Thursday, is really one that allows individuals who may not be as up to speed as to who the vendors are, actually get a chance to hear the vendors speak about what their services are and what it is they provide, and allows them to basically showcase what it is that they do. And I can go on and on and on, but that really is sort of, in a nutshell, what it is that we try to cover at Vendors Night. So we look forward to seeing everyone there. Typically, it's a great turnout, and the general lay of things this time will be to have some tables relatively limited, and then have each vendor member who wants to speak actually talk about their services and what they provide. So I could go on and on, Joe, but I think that covers it.
Okay, perfect. And That's going to be at Ferrari's Pizza, East Rochester. I think that starts about 5 for the networking. And then vendors speak about 7 o'clock. They get a few minutes each. There'll be tons of free pizza there. And there'll be a ton of networking going on. Networking is gonna be fantastic, at least not only just with the vendors, but also just being able to connect with some of the other investors there in the area there.
Yeah,
So,
we've averaged something like 75 to 80 at each one of those events at Ferrari's. So it's worth going to, especially if you're trying to make connections.
absolutely. I know sometimes we'll leave and people are still over there talking and partnering up and making deals. And because you're in a room, by the way, for those of you who haven't been there, you got lenders, you got buyers, you got sellers, you got commercial investors, residential investors. You have every possible type of person in that room. If you haven't been there yet, you need to be there.
Yep.
So
And there won't be a Zoom component for this one in particular. So
Is
Just
that this
to-
Thursday or next Thursday?
next Thursday.
Yes, the general meeting is always on the second Thursday. And I guess the only exception would probably be the holiday party. But the format, just to clarify a bit, and it's changed over time and it'll change again, but at 5:30, that's the sort of official starting time. Most people aren't there at that time, but the restaurant is beginning to be set up so that we can do the first segment of the networking, which goes, as Joe indicated, from 5:30 to 7. And then from 7 until 7:45, basically, we try to have the presentations take place. And then once that's done, then we go into a second networking stage where people basically mingle around, talk to each other, get themselves a drink, not on us, on themselves. We don't pay for that. But we do provide the pizza, and the numbers of folks that attend have increased, and that's what Andy was alluding to. In the past, when we were at a different venue, we had like roughly 40 to 55 was our general range that we had people in the room for the general meeting. So we look to continue to increase the number of people, and changing the format and the venue, I think it had a fair amount of impact on that. So if anybody has any thoughts, ideas, we're open to those at any point in time that people want to provide them to us. But that's the general format of it, and it's on the website. I think we updated it. Certainly we've discussed that. But if you have any questions, you can call myself, call Joe, Andy. We're all more than willing to help. Thanks, Joe.
No problem. No problem at all. Yeah. I love the networking part of it. That is, and I like getting the information. It's the networking is going to be key. So, and yeah, so but any information, go to the FFREIA website, FFREIA.com. Freedom First Real Estate Investment Association. Okay. Did I miss any announcements? I think we're good, right?
I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Perfect. First of all, I don't know if there's even any new people on here. If you are, just do a really quick 30-second introduction of yourself, who you are, where you're located, and then what kind of real estate are you looking to do. But I don't know if there's any, I don't know if anyone's ever never not been on here yet. I think we've all got, I think everyone's pretty much been on here.
We just had somebody, oh, they dropped it. Never mind. I don't recognize Dennis, but he's the only name I don't recognize.
I don't know. Dennis, are you new?
I was at the last one on the 19th or 20th of October. I'm out in Newfane, New York, out by Lake Ontario. I'm into commercial real estate, basically. I have a couple Airbnbs right now. Just looking at that work and hopefully do some deals or whatever.
Perfect. Now, and by the way, whereabouts is that? I don't understand that. I never heard of that town. Is that toward Buffalo? Is that toward Syracuse and north?
It's towards Buffalo, Niagara Falls. I don't know if
Okay.
you ever heard of Alcott or Wilson
Yes.
or anything. Yeah, it's like right outside Alcott.
Perfect. Yeah. And by the way, make sure you put your info on the chat box, because look, there's times where I'll get stuff out in Buffalo, out in Tonawanda, and not just me, but other people, even up in that area there, Niagara Falls. And, we don't always have people to contact. So, if you don't put your information on there and that goes for everybody, we're not going to know to call people.
Yeah, I'll stick my stuff in there. I sent you that self-storage last week.
Wait, what was that last part?
I sent you that self-storage thing in New Jersey or whatever. I was supposed to call you, but I didn't. I sent you a text or.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Call me.
Will do.
All right, perfect. I'm like, that name sounded familiar, but I couldn't remember. All right, perfect. I don't think anyone else on here is going to be new. All right, anyone have any haves or wants? Let us know what the heck you're looking for. If you got something you're looking to sell, put it out there. Anybody got anything?
Hey, this is Dom. I'm always looking to add more. 14609. I'm starting to look in the Wedge and Park Ave area also. So please reach out to me. I'll put my information in the chat. Also in the Finger Lakes, I'm looking for properties out there also. Thank you.
Don, are you looking for turnkey or it doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter.
Singles, doubles, multiples?
Singles, doubles, doesn't matter. As long as the numbers work, I'm okay with it.
All right, perfect. Who else?
I'll go, Joe. My name's Gabriel. Good morning, everyone. Gabriel Petzios, and I'm looking for self-storage anywhere in the United States, ideally 10,000 square feet and above, and in any location. As anyone's, as it goes, as long as the numbers work to both parties' favors, I'll definitely take a look at it and take it down and do what we have to do with it. Again, 10,000 square feet and above, ideally, anywhere in the U.S. and I'll put my contact information in the chat box as well. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Hey, Gabe, real quick here.
Yeah.
When you tell people you're looking for 10,000 square feet and above, what's an average unit range for that? Some people don't know. Some people may think, okay, is that 50 units? Is that 30 units? Is that 70 units? Average. Doesn't have to be perfect, obviously. At least that way people know, if they see something that's 40 units, I got to call Gabe.
Okay. So maybe about 120 units or above, I guess. Right. Well, if it's 10, they're all 10 by 10s.
So it could be 40 and up, could be 50 and up.
Yeah, 50 and up. Yeah, about 50 and up. So to clarify, I'm sorry, guys. Joe's right.
No, it's okay. I just want to make it as simple as possible make sure people can call you.
Yeah.
And all right. Who else? I'll go. I'm looking for obviously commercial, residential storage. I am doing everything from single families to apartment complexes, and I am also looking at some industrial properties, and all over the place, by the way. Who else?
So I guess I should mention the fact that I'm looking to basically sell a property. It's not for the faint of heart. It's got a fair amount of work. And Joe, you're smiling now. A fair amount of work that needs to be done to it. So, but if you are looking for property in the city of Rochester, very decent area, but the property itself needs a fair amount of work done to it. So you can give me a call and we can talk about it. Particularly if you like larger rehabs.
All
Okay,
right.
I'll go next. Josh and I are looking for properties in the like Virgin, Otis, Farley, like that whole group of houses over there. We've picked up a couple recently and kind of just venturing out, letting people know that we're buying over there. So a lot of them are owner occupied over there, it seems to be. But we've done some pretty good off market deals over there. So trying to kind of stick around that block area. We're selling off everything in the really crappier neighborhoods that Josh bought when he started buying around here. I'm getting him to get rid of all those. Don, you can keep laughing because you know, other than my fire property. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're looking, and then we're venturing out to like that Greece, like that nicer end of Ridgeway. We've bought some on Jordan, working on something over on Pilot, and like working our way in that direction. Not too far. Obviously I've stumbled on some stuff way in the suburbs, but we kind of walked away from them just because they're a little bit farther out than we want to be right now. So, but that's pretty much what we're looking for.
All right. And put your info on there because obviously there'll be people looking too. So don't forget to do that because we won't know.
Yeah, I popped it in right at the top. I was the first one.
Awesome. That's fantastic. That's great. Who else? Everybody's good? All right. I know what's it called there's a lot of stuff going on, so I know we like to keep this interactive. So first off, there's things that anybody wants to talk about, anybody has questions on, please feel free to interject, because we want to keep this as informational as possible. We want to be able to learn from each other. That's why I love these Zoom calls, because we can keep things on a more personal level. Okay. I know some of the things which I try to go over stuff where I get phone calls on, which kind of gives me a gauge as far as what other people are thinking, what other people are doing. And obviously one of the things that's going to be happening is the tax auction going on next week. These are some of the things. I also want to make sure if we have time to also touch upon some of the stuff that's been going on with the markets. Some people are like, should I buy? Should I not buy? Should I wait? What do you think is going to happen? What's going on? Are things really on sale now? So there's all these different things that people have kind of sort of been wondering about. And of course, and again, by the way, and I should have put this in the beginning, no matter what we talk about, make sure you consult your attorney, make sure you consult your accountant, because what may work for us may not work for you, and vice versa. Okay, we try to give the best of our knowledge as far as what we have going on and what we're doing. Okay.
Don't forget about your significant other.
Oh yeah, you don't want to sleep on the couch or in the garage.
No. And Tom Pasco just had his hand raised, but he put it down, so I don't know what's up there.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Yes, Joe and Andy, Tom Pasco, second time listener, first time sharing. So first of all, thank you both for providing this forum. Literally just in the two and a few minutes times I've been here, I've learned a lot, so I appreciate that. First and foremost, I am what I call a pretender, not a player right now. I'm one of those fence sitters that I have an electrical engineering degree and I tend to over deliberate. But anyway, first one comment. I'm very committed though. I want to do this. You pointed out something good, Joe. I'm not sure if this is the right time. Although I guess I guess the deal dictates whether it's the right time or not, if you get a good enough deal. Okay, so first one comment, approximately 3-4 weeks ago, it was advertised on the national REIA site, a Minnesota, from the Minnesota REIA, offering a package, a software package that was very, from my vantage at least, very informative, very comprehensive, allowing you to do a lot of property management. These people are national members, and they do, it seemed to do, you know, mind you, I'm new, it seemed to do a lot, let's just say that. Has anybody heard of that? Has anybody, you know, for that matter, purchased it and is using it? And, you know, any feedback on that?
What's the
Number
name of
one.
the software?
Is that REI Pro?
Yes.
REI
Yes.
Pro. It's okay. I mean, it's like Buildium. You just gotta weigh it. Like it is built more for investors in this space. So like single family, scattered site, small multifamily, you know, 10 units and down, up to a certain number of doors. It functions really well, at least from what I've seen. As far as I know, it doesn't have like an online purchasing portal or anything like that baked into it. It's really just a management software, but they could have changed that by now. I don't know. Everybody's going to those middleman GPO based solutions for purchasing and lighting money on fire, but that's beside the point. That's a whole nother topic.
All right, so I actually threw my hat into that ring, and I haven't used it yet, but we'll be doing so shortly. So I'll give some feedback, I guess, as I start to learn about it. All right, so more importantly, the question I have is, I really like to see the big picture before I go all in. But once I'm all in, I'm committed. I go for it. So the big picture I'm trying to figure out is I have limited capital, and I know there's all kinds of creative financing mechanisms, and I'll be using as many as I know of, and all that kind of stuff. But I do have limited capital, and my strategy was to do a kind of a two-pronged approach, do both flipping and rental income, flipping more to generate greater capital that I could use to then plow into rental properties. And obviously the name of the game is not just to make money, but to keep it and do that all in the most tax efficient way. I'm just wondering if that is what's your take on that?
Well, first of all, Tom, where are you located? Are you in Rochester, or where are you?
Yes, I'm in Rochester, yes.
Okay, all right. I had to ask that because
I'm not in Minnesota.
some people on it for different areas. So some real estate markets are being affected a little bit more differently than others.
Gotcha.
You know, and by the way, you have like an engineering background, okay?
Yeah.
And now the great thing about I call them, they have sea urchin type personalities. You guys are very numbers oriented. Here's the thing about sea urchins, or people who your background. When you guys find something that works, you stick to it like glue. You never deviate, which is great. Unless you don't deviate when the market tells you need to deviate, then it's bad, okay? And then the other part of that spectrum is, again, you over evaluate.
Yes.
Now, take this the right way, okay? First of all, I love going up against people your personality. Now, here's why. I love this small group, and here's why, because we can actually talk like this, okay? Now, what you do, especially in the beginning, you want to definitely evaluate until you're comfortable. I'm not telling you to just go out and do it willy-nilly. The thing is that what I've found over the years is that you guys do a great job of evaluating. It's just that by the time you guys are done evaluating it, I've gotten under contract and we're moving on.
Speed is key.
Yes. Okay. Now, I'm not telling you to go willy-nilly. I'm not telling you that. Okay.
I don't think I'm capable of it.
What?
I'm not sure I'm capable of going willy-nilly.
Okay, yeah. Well, I get that. Go with what makes you comfortable. I'm just, for me, but what I will tell you is that, if you look, most CEOs of big fortune companies have engineering backgrounds. You guys are really good at what you do, and I'm not that type of person. You guys are way smarter than me. And the reason why.
But you're going to kick my ass on the deal and get it.
No, listen, it doesn't always work that way, but I think, look, you're going to get very proficient at doing real estate, just like you do with your engineering background. Okay. In the beginning, you'd kick my butt, anybody's butt. But as you do it more and more, you'll become more proficient. And,
I'm not as risk adverse as you're kind of suggesting. I do have a business background. I've owned a business.
Good.
And while I certainly wouldn't call it willy-nilly. I think I do a fair job at assessing risk, but don't get me wrong. Once I am comfortable and I have established a process by which I can, comfortably move forward with, profitably move forward with, don't get me, I am not going to sit on my, ass.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
No, I'm just saying that. No, and actually it's a fair assessment what you're doing. I'm not taking, you are dead on with respect to the engineering mindset. But I believe I've kind of, remember my engineering degree, look at all the gray, or look at the zero hair and all the gray hair. That was a long ass time ago. So I'm beyond that. I'm beyond that. But don't get me wrong. This is the tough time for me. The trying to understand the game. Once I understand the game, I can play it very well. I can be fast.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. So I'm not worried about that.
Well, like Leon's an engineering background, 100%. You and Leon will get along. You guys communicate in zeros and ones perfectly together. And
Go Leon.
I mean, right now there's a whole lot of transitioning going on in the market. It's great with your background because you can definitely analyze what's going on. And again, everybody's different. One of the things is you have to, I was listening to a video just the other day, and one of the things that he talked about, which was really great, and I'm kind of like the same way, I just didn't say it as eloquently as he did. And he goes, the offers I make today need to be the exact same offer I'm going to make a year from now. Now, if you think the market is going to go, the prices are going to go down, then you make your you're going to make your offer according to what's going to be a year from now. So you think it's going to be lower. If you think it's going to be higher, then you make it according to what you think is going to be a year from now.
So look a little longer term.
Yeah, and so the question is, how can we predict the future? We can't. For me, I like to make sure that I'm going to be in a position where I always like to buy low. I just want to make sure. Okay. And when it comes to rentals, I figure it three ways, and other people can chime in on this. One, when you buy it, that's the price. Two, in the middle, when you rent it, that's the money you make. And three, in the back end, when you sell it. Mm-hmm. That's the way I do it. That doesn't mean you have to do it. I don't know. I want other people to chime in here so you can help Tom here. What is everybody else doing?
I look at it at the refi, Joe, also. That's not necessarily the sell. If I'm going to keep it for long term, I'm looking at it, buying like the BRRRR strategy, essentially. Yeah. So that's how I look at it, because my goal, the way I like to get paid to buy houses. So if I can pull some money out at the refi process, I know I did a good job.
That's a great plan, Don. That's a great way to do it. Because that way you're leaving yourself a really big buffer, regardless.
Yep. That's always my goal whenever I analyze a deal. Quickly though, Tom, Tom, I'm more pull the trigger, figure it out later type of guy, you know, so.
That's cool. Nothing wrong with that. Dom, can you elaborate a little bit for me with the refi and the BRRRR process?
Yeah, what does BRRRR stand for again? Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. I believe. If I'm wrong, correct me, someone.
You're right.
Okay. So essentially you want to buy, you know, what you're going to buy the property for. I always do it like easy numbers when I'm teaching people. I say, you know, you buy a house for 50,000, you put 20 into it. Okay. It's going to cost 20K to rehab it and your holding costs. And then you take it to the bank, you rent it out for, I don't know, $1,000 or let's say $1,500 or whatever. You go to the bank, they appraise it for 100,000. Local credit union is going to give you 80% of that. That's $80,000. You know, with fees at these local credit unions are a little higher, but not anything outrageous. And then, you know, you may walk away with $5,000 in your pocket. Now you have a mortgage on that property for $80,000, and you know, your renters are paying for everything. And as long as you know, whatever you know you're going to rent it for, it depends on the area, what level. I know that's very quick and high level. So if anybody else wants to chime in, please do. I'm no professional here.
But then that would actually maybe substitute for my need to, you know, I keep on thinking I need to flip to build capital, but that is a great way to, you know, accumulate rental properties and still build the capital to reinvest in property.
No, it definitely is. You just have to make sure, do you want to pull out all of the extra money? Because you know, it may appraise more than $100,000. I just use 100 for easy numbers. Some of my properties in some sketchy areas have appraised for really high numbers. And I'm just like, you know, it's not smart to over leverage yourself there and pull it all the equity out, because then when the market takes a shit and you might need to offload it, because you always got to have a backup plan, right? And you don't want to over leverage yourself and not be able to move that property.
Gotcha.
You know, and Dom, to add on to that, I know a guy who did that, and he ended up having to owe a couple $100,000 in back taxes.
Yeah.
Literally a couple $100,000 right now. And so, because that's exactly what they did. They over leveraged themselves. Oh, wow, you know, the bank's going to give us money. Let's take it. And now, and he was trying to sell them, because if you do get in trouble, you're, you know, just like you, I want an escape route. I want to make sure.
Always have to.
Yeah. Like for me, I'm never leveraged more than like 50-51%. So if anything happens, I'm good. And this gentleman, he did exactly that, put him up on the market. He kept getting offers, but you know, he needed them here and he kept getting them down here. You know, there were properties that he couldn't sell because there was one that he needed to come out of $25,000 out of his pocket to sell it. And that was one. And he had multitudes.
Yeah.
He was not in a good place. And by the way, Tom, with your background and how you analyze your business background, you're going to find places that'll be like, okay, you know what? I can either flip this or I can rent it out. So at least that way it'll give you choice. Okay.
Exactly.
So, and then once you learn it, be like, oh, okay. Then some of these places you'll come across like, I don't want this. You'll know people who do, and they'll be like, hey, listen, I got this property. I don't want it. Give me a quick fee to get out. Here it is. Give you a referral fee and you're done.
Right. Like a wholesaler. Yeah.
Excuse me. Yes, absolutely. That's
Great.
exactly.
That's good advice. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Anyone else want to add on to that, by the way? Please. We're all good. So, by the way, because I definitely want to get back into the market, but I definitely want to talk about, is anyone going to the auction next week? It's next Thursday morning, the 10th. Anyone even know about the auction?
I know about it. I've called on half, probably 75% of those houses. And I know I would say probably 50% are gonna be off that list by the
Yep.
time, next week comes, because I know a few that have reached out to my buddy who's a real estate agent to list them. And they made a deal with the city or something. They were saying about paying, setting up a payment plan or something to get it off of there. But, I've been seeing, if anybody's members of the coffee club on Facebook, you see that one realtor, that broker that's always posting those auctions. Have you ever done those, Joe, at the town?
Wait, so you mean the ones at the county steps?
Yeah,
Or-
at the county steps. Yeah. Have you ever attended those?
I talked to somebody, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? I can't remember. Oh my God. He went there. There was 4 properties there. And there was a bunch of guys who went there. And one of the guys got 2 of the 4. There was another one. Actually, it was yesterday morning. Yes, it was yesterday. That's right. Now I remember. It was yesterday. One of the guys is from this group. He went there, and his maximum, they started the property at like 40-something thousand or whatever it was. His maximum was going to be like 75, maybe 80. And it sold for over $100 grand. It was worth 130. And he's like, I can't do it.
That's what's going to happen next week.
Yes. So some of these, I don't tell people to not go to the auctions. It's just there's so many people who want them right now. It's just I found it that for me, may not be for everybody else, but for me, I don't want to go to them because there's just too much competition, and my time is better spent finding off-market properties.
Yeah, I agree with you, because I think there's going to be a lot of people that want to get in the game. I know some friends that my kids go to school with, their parents have said the same thing. They're going to go to the auction next week and buy a house cash. And I already know they're going to be the ones to, rack us, overprice everything.
Yes, there's going to be stuff happening there, and some of these people are going to be driving by the properties. As far as for you, Dom, what are you doing to research these properties? Do you drive by them? Do you look in the windows? Do you not drive it? What are you doing?
Well,
if you're going to bid on them, what do you?
Mine may or may not be legal. So remember what Joe said. Okay, don't follow everything we say on here. Okay, but I have the list right here. It's sitting right next to me. Look, I got it right here. I got all the addresses. I've gone through and I've looked at ones that interest me. Okay, and I have driven by. I've looked in windows, to see if it's vacant or not. But other than that, I haven't really done. You can't get inside, right? A lot of these have people in them.
Yeah.
So that's the tough part. So, and looking at some of these starting prices, there's the first one on the list, 21A place. I've been inside that house. I've talked to the owner. Yeah. It's a fire burn property. It looks pristine from the outside. You go inside, it's in shambles. It's very, very bad. And the starting bid is $20,000.
And tell everybody what the house is actually worth.
Over there in the 19th ward, maybe on that little street. I don't know, maybe on a good day, 100K, maybe, no driveway too.
Yeah. How much work do you think it needs?
Oh, over 100 grand. It's in shambles. It's horrible, but from the outside, it looks good. I walked that house about a month ago, and it's in rough shape.
Yeah.
So that's the scary thing about that, going into that 199 Adams Street. I've called on that one before. That's the third one on the list. They want 26 grand. It's in shambles. So people might see Adams Street, think Cornhill, and say, whoa, I need to get this. It might be worth 200K.
Nope.
So it's my goal is to, as bad as this sounds, Joe, is to let these people buy it and then let them offload it for a lower price.
That will happen. There's actually been people who've actually walked away from their deposit because it was cheaper
Yeah.
to walk away. I've seen people leave $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 deposits. And it was cheaper to do that than to actually close on the property.
Yeah.
That's how crazy it is. And now, are you focusing on just a certain properties, Tom, or are you going after as many as possible?
I was focusing only on a certain area, obviously in the A and B neighborhoods. Okay. The ones that everyone's going to be focusing on. But I don't want to deal with the bidding, right? I mean, I potentially thought about going with a partner and doing it, but I'm just going to wait. I mean, I've had some pretty success surprisingly lately on the market, Joe. So with things sitting there for so long, I've just been throwing in some crazy offers and
on the MLS.
On the MLS, and they've been
we're gonna talk about that too if we have time. Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily need to deal with that, especially I know I'm jumping around, Joe, but with all the rates and everything, how they're going, I don't really want to dig myself into a massive project, not knowing how long it can take. It could, finish next year, spring, summertime, the rates could be crazy and I can't pull any money out. So I could, so those are things I'm thinking about. Personally, me. That's just me.
That's exactly how I think, and how, again, make your offer on contingent what you think that, the prices will be next year.
Yeah. I mean, I just started a refi with CMB and they said they had already baked in the, the Fed rate that just came out. And, it's not the best, but it was 7%, but I mean, it could be worse, right? For an investor, but you just know the word, more is coming. We know that.
Yeah. And by the way, Dom, with what you're doing, worst case scenario, you don't get the deal. The best case scenario next year, you don't lose money.
Exactly. That's the goal.
Always going to be more deals.
Yeah, always going to be more deals.
Yeah, and by the way, so really quick 30-second horror stories that's happened with the auctions. I'm not scaring people away from auctions. I know people have made a lot of money on auctions. They go there and they'll buy 10, 20, 30 houses. It's insane.
Don't talk about Nunzio that way.
What?
I said don't talk about Nunzio that way.
No, I'm not doing that. But the thing is that, like, I know one lady who wanted to surprise her husband. She bought this house. It was over on East Ridge Road, Hollenbeck Street area, and bought it outside. Like, well, not too bad. Went inside. All the walls and the foundation, the basement were coming in. The inside was basically falling in toward the middle. It was so bad. I think she paid like, I don't know, 35,000 or whatever heck it was. And she just wanted to surprise her husband. Yeah, her husband was very surprised. And then they were trying to sell it for the longest time. I don't know whatever happened with that. And then another thing you got to make sure of, and I've seen it happen multiple times. Actually, I talked to my partner about it. He did it his first time many years ago, but he ended up keeping the house for 7 years. For him, it worked out fine. A girl went in there and bought a house. And some of them are avenues, some of them are streets. Same name, but difference. Well, she thought it was on the street she thought she was buying on. It wasn't. It was on a whole different street. Needless to say, she regretted doing that. I think she ended up closing on the house and getting rid of it extremely quickly. She wanted nothing to do with the house. Okay, so be very aware. Google map it. That's right. Actually, what she did was she Googled it at the auction, but instead of putting in street, she did road or whatever the heck it was. And that's how she got it wrong. She didn't even drive by. She actually did it right there. Okay. So is anyone else even planning on going to the auction? Or even thought about it? Or have questions on it?
Joe, I got some questions. It it seems like it would be a good experience for me from a learning standpoint. I understand, the competitive nature and how that might, enable you to make bad decisions. But from my vantage, I think it would be a good thing from a learning standpoint. What any tricks of the trade with respect, legal or not, of trying to assess properties that that don't have open doors and stuff like that? Can you pay a menial price to the if somebody's actually in there right then and there? Are there any ways to get in there and assess?
There are different ways. At the same time, you got to be respectful, because
Yes.
imagine if you're the owner of the house and you have kids. And your
Exactly,
families there, next thing you know, you knock on the door, say, hey, listen, I'm going to be bidding on your house that you're going to be losing. Do you mind if I come through? They may chase you off the property. If they have a big hungry dog, they may throw A1 steak sauce on you and let the dog out. Okay.
I hear you.
So yes, I've seen people go in and rental, say, hey, listen, I'd like to look at the house, and they know. And are you allowed to? Not really. Again, we're not giving illegal advice here. Typically you drive by. And then, if you see a car parked in the driveway, sometimes there isn't. So there's no real set of rules, to do that. I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know what else has somebody else done on this call. Has anyone else done anything that, differently?
I just posted the link to the actual auction website from the city. So that's in the chat if anybody wants to look at it. And I also put up the properties that are for sale right now through tax liens on Monroe County's website. So you can take a peek at those. No auction there, just sale prices.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thanks, Andy. I appreciate that. There's a lot of houses, and like Tom said, there's going to be a lot of people are going to end up paying at the last minute. And by the way, Tom, like you were saying, for people who haven't been to that, it's a great place to. It's gotten so big. I mean, one of the guys used to buy like 30 properties a year, and in the last few years, I guess he was like, especially prior to COVID, he ended up buying like 7 or 8, if that. A few, not as many, because so many people are bidding, but it's a great place to go there and network. I know people that go there just to hand out their cards. Okay. And it's out there and get as many phone numbers. Because there'll be future buyers there, future sellers there. Say, hey, listen, you know what? I was looking at that property. You end up getting it. Congratulations. Listen, if things change or something goes on with it, call me. And by the way, there are people who go there, not just who are investors. They literally want to go there to buy the house to live in. That's all they're interested in. Okay. So if you're bidding up against somebody, obviously a homeowner is going to be able to pay more. But if you get a house and you see somebody who's bidding on that same house, find them and see if they are somebody. Because if you're buying that house to flip, your potential buyer may be right in front of your eyeballs. Or you may be able to just say, hey, you know what? I bought it for this price. I'm going to walk away. Pay me this price. And they'll still be getting it at a discount. And, because if your goal was to make $20,000 profit on that property, and next thing you know, those people who wanted to buy it are willing to pay you 10 for doing absolutely nothing, you can either hold on to the property, do the work, could take you 4 to 6 months, make that extra 10 grand, or you can make $10,000 for doing absolutely nothing. Me personally, I'd rather make $10,000 and not worry about the extra 10, because if it takes me 4 to 6 months to make $10,000 extra, for me, it's not worth it. Get it and get it out.
Joe, these aren't assignable, right? You'd have to double close on that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, you got to close on them. but I'll close on them making it. If someone's gonna pay you 10 grand just to walk away from them, you
Oh,
know, and as long as they're getting a good deal, I mean, again, what works for me may not be for you and vice versa. Okay. But yeah, but if you have a chance to go. It's gonna be where's it being held this year, Andy? Do you know?
It's at the convention center, I believe.
Is it? Okay, yeah. There's hundreds and hundreds of people there.
Yeah, it's in the grand ballroom at the convention center.
Yeah. And then there's if you're looking to bid, is it 10% down right now? I haven't a chance to even look.
I have no idea. Let's take a look and see what it says. It wouldn't surprise
I
me.
believe it's a $5,000 deposit, like a $5,000 application fee to get in, I believe, or to bid, and then I think it's 10%.
Yep.
Andy said.
Five
right?
$5,000. Yeah, you need to bring cash or a certified check or an attorney check. No money orders for $5,000 for each property you want to purchase. So if you want to go in and buy 5 properties, you need a $25,000 check just to get your foot in the door.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
When you say foot in the door, that means to bid, not just to
Correct.
go.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah. They want to know you got the money. So, you know, and also on some of those deals, like even like Don was talking about, you know, like for me, and Don was talking about that is, you know, I want to make sure that these properties are going to be worth, you know, with the amount of money that's going to be put into those properties, you know, next year. I mean, with what's been going on, and I mean, obviously the rates are going back up again. As of yesterday, another 0.75. So where's that going to put us? Is that going to put us at like what, 7.5, 7.75 or something?
It depends on if they start letting people buy down rates with points. People are still assuming that for some reason mortgage lenders are going to have 4.5 rate for next year, and I'm like, you people are all stupid. Like, do you not realize that we've had record lows for 20 years? Like, you need to be looking at the early to mid 90s interest rates and not the interest rates of the last 20 years. Like, this isn't going to stop. They're going to do another 3/4 of a point, at least 2 of the 3 meetings in the spring of next year. Like, everybody's like surprised and shocked. All these Wall Street investors are like, oh my God, they're actually doing things to fix it. Well, yeah, it's been bad for 20 years. You don't unravel 20 years of stupid overnight. There's going to be a lot of pain because they've just been passing the buck for 20 years. So it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
Yeah. And the last part of that, which is there's a lag time, you know, and the last part of it is going to be the prices. And it's starting to happen now. And what I mean by that is that, you know, first interest rates have gone up. Inventory is starting to go up. And now prices are going to start to come down.
Yep. Land deals have been canceled. A ton of the big 20 builders have completely pulled back and gone either back to the negotiating table or just pulled out of deals completely for land. So all these people who were looking to make quick, easy money by flipping land, by getting it ready for development and getting the permits pulled and stuff, they're going to be sitting on it and they're going to lose their butts. So just buckle up, because there's going to be a lot of people who thought there was easy money in the market to be made who missed their time. And now they're going to be holding the bag. So it's going to get real bad. We've seen, I think it's an average of 8% cancellations per month for pre-negotiated, pre-contracted deals. And another like 14% have gone back to the negotiating table to cut prices to keep those deals alive. So, and it's going to continue. That's a month over month increase.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to get real ugly. It already is getting real ugly real fast. If you look at the like Boise, Idaho, and Austin and Fort Worth and some of these other places that, you know, the big 20 went in hot and heavy and wanted to build 1,000 spec homes, it ain't happening anymore. They're pulling out of those deals, and they're basically leaving people holding the bag on all this land that's already been pre-approved for development. So it's, yeah, we're going to see builder prices drop by 20% probably, and we're going to see, pre-existing home prices start to come back down to a reasonable level. But long term, it's not looking good. If it's a top 40 market, it's going to spiral hard.
Yeah. I mean,
I want to ask is how much of a concern do you guys maybe have for trying to do things like flipping with the interest rates going up? Now, I kind of do a little bit of a calculation. I'm a little bit of a calculation guy myself. And I'm looking at $100,000 house at 4%. What your payments would be equates to the same as maybe like a $72,000 house at 7%, which is that's a pretty big drop.
yes, it is. Yes, it
Yep.
is.
And that's why mortgage applications have been dropping by 10% month over month for the last 3 months. And it's why there's a ton of people now. Like if you look at the builder indexes, there's almost no, it's really bad. It's probably the worst it's been in 25 years. And they're looking at essentially buyers looking at the house that they have now. And a lot of these people, their budgets would force them to downgrade to go into something new or something freshly remodeled because they can't afford the payment.
Okay, so if I had a house that was valued at $100,000 when the rates were 4%, should I value my house now at $72,000?
I don't think it would be that drastic. You can assume that in Rochester, we're going to see somewhere between 8 and 15%, depending on where it's located, over the next 18 months. So, it just depends on what your action plan is. Your numbers need to work and they need to bake all that stuff in. And at the end of the day, the house is going to be worth what it's worth. Like you have to remember that a lot of the numbers they're throwing around right now for these decreases in value are based off of people not even being able to get bank financing. They were buying these and offsetting the gap with cash. They were finding money from other places and putting it into the deal. So like banks were going into these houses that were $100,000 that people wanted to spend 170 on. And the bank was saying it's worth 120 tops. We'll give you 120. You got to find that 50 grand somewhere else. And they're not talking about that. And that was happening left and right. So like there's a lot of static in the numbers, and just especially in Rochester, just it's not going to be doom and gloom. It's not going to be the end of the world. If the house is going to be $100,000 house, as long as you didn't buy it stupid high, you might see a 10 to 12% decrease, maybe, unless it's in some crazy neighborhood where, you way overpaid and there's shootings 3 times a week, then you're probably going to lose your ass.
Okay. Yeah, I was just basing it on the actual cost, keeping the cost the same. That's what would you be able to afford at the different interest rates?
Right.
Yeah.
And so, there's always going to be buyers. That's the reality. So as long as the fundamentals are solid, your numbers work, the property is marketed and prepared in a way that has the curb appeal, there will always be a buyer. It may not be as much money as you wanted to make on it, but there will always be somebody willing to take that property at some point.
Okay.
And the worst case scenario for flippers in a lot of cases is going to be that they sit on it and they rent it to make their money back that they need to make to get out of the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Leslie, obviously, this goes for, I do this. Some people, when times were really great, people are like, well, you know what, if I, instead of hitting a home run, on a deal, listen, if I get the first or second base, I'll be happy. You can't do that anymore. For me, I want to at least get the third base or a home run. Okay. And again, that's different for everybody. But you're definitely going to have to look at the buy price. And then I want to know that if I have to, I want to know, for me, when I look at it, if other houses are selling for 140 and maybe they're just sitting there a little bit, maybe 30 days, whatever the heck it is, which we're going to start finding out. We won't know now. That's going to be another probably 30, 60, 90 days out at least. And then if they're at $140,000 and it's taking them 30 to 45 days to sell it, 30 days average, whatever. I want to know there's enough of a cushion that if I go in, even at, 129.9 or 134.9 or whatever the heck it is there. And obviously they're gonna bring me down. I wanna know there's enough of a cushion there. Okay. Whereas before people, you know, I know a guy who bought a house in 14609 area there. And he listed it for 169.9. And this was July. All his other properties, he was always getting overbid. And he ended up selling this house for 162 or something like that. And he ended up, he was splitting that property with another guy. And for the amount of time, the amount of work, and the amount of effort they put into it, he says it wasn't worth it because he relied on people overbidding on because that's exactly what was going on. After that, he completely changed his buy model. He was not, and so now things have, you know, his prices have gone way down, his purchase price has gone way down. Okay. I mean, what are other people doing? Who are, you know, I want to hear from other people on the Zoom call. What are you doing before you consider buying a property now? What changes have you guys done? Let us know, please.
Also, Scott arrived. He's on now.
Oh, holy smokes. Your butler forget to wake you up?
Zing.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, let the games begin. Good morning, everybody.
Scott.
So, all right. Just had some things to take care of this morning first. Was hoping to be on earlier, but we're on now. So, I know you probably talked about the auction already that's coming up.
Yeah.
So
we're just asking the question what some people are doing now before they buy a property with all the changes going on in the market. Some people are keeping it a secret, Scott.
Yeah.
I want to hear from other people on here.
Yeah. In the storage business, that shifted too. A lot of things are shifting right now. And I know in the real estate market, it's shifting. People I talk to, people are doing flips. People buying things. You just gotta be a lot more conservative right now. You know, you gotta have, you know, 2 or 3 backup plans, or, you know, 2 or 3 exit strategies, whether you're going to hold it or, you know, lower your price, or just get creative too. You might get creative on some financing with things, with residential real estate. So I know a lot of people are starting to go into the short-term rentals, but a lot of communities are starting to push back on that too. So just, if you're looking to get into short-term rental business, just make sure you're checking with the community and where they're at now and where they plan to go, because some of them are changing the rules on those.
Get involved, because it's not going through law, it's going through regulation. So in Rochester specifically, there's no vote. I mean, it's the zoning board, and they're looking to kill short-term rentals across the city in one fell swoop. If you're not involved in that fight, you need to be, if you're hoping to keep any money in your pocket from your Airbnb, because if it goes into a city rental, good luck.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, just to address that a little bit, there are several of us who attend city meetings on multiple times a month, let's put it that way. And some discussion has come up associated with Airbnb and the approach that's being taken there. The first approach that the city took was to basically look at trying to change things from a code standpoint, and just say if it's not zoned R2, then you can't do Airbnb. And people recognize the vast majority of the properties are zoned R1. So right now they pushed that to the side a bit, and the approach they tend to be aiming at right now is if you want to do Airbnb, you need to live in the property. And so it's, as Andy indicated, that's the way that they're moving at this point. It's not all cooked and complete at this point in time. And there are going to be discussions that are going to continue on it, and definitely need to have people input and involvement, particularly as we move forward. That's just a quick update, given the last session that I was in.
So basically, get involved if you're involved in Airbnb. And I know there's a number of people in this group who does it, especially the what's it called? I can never pronounce the word arbitrage.
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I'm sure they got to be freaking out. Oh.
And you know, if you just think sort of a little bit broader, there are some areas where there are a fair number of areas where they are really putting a kibosh, for sake of better words, on Airbnb. So, and I think we mentioned this before, but if you go to an area like Ohio, and I'm not sure if they actually passed the law, but about a month and a half ago, they were looking at putting a law in place where you could not stop someone from doing Airbnb if they wanted to. So just, so it's up in the air, and things are really getting flipped around now, changed in different areas in different ways, given the approach of that particular government and municipality. And so with Airbnb, with where it is right now, my view of it is it's somewhat the same as wholesaling was, and we still don't know where it's going to come out. But if you go back 10 years ago, most of the real estate companies and agencies and large, like GRAR, the companies that were really responsible, particularly in New York, for having their agents actually sign up through the process that was at the state level. They were completely against anything to do with wholesaling. They did not want wholesaling to exist at all, and things have mellowed out, and now wholesaling is a fairly acceptable thing across most of the U.S. I don't think that my own personal view is I think that things are going to be still a challenge in the Airbnb arena because fundamentally it's all about the Benjamins. And the reason why my personal view is the reason why Airbnb is taking such a hit is because of the fact that you have, when someone does an Airbnb transaction, you negatively impact 3 levels of government. So if you're in New York State, first you impact the state, then you impact the county, and in most cases you impact whatever the municipality is. Because every time someone goes into something like a Hyatt, something like a Days Inn, something like whatever just common place that you would go to actually rent a room or you're on vacation, they receive those 3 municipalities, those 3 forms of government, they actually, in most cases, receive monies from that, because it's every time you get a room, there's taxes that are paid, and those taxes go to that municipality. And so you're impacting negatively large components of what is an acceptable way of making money in these here United States. And so that's one of the big pushbacks, and that's happening pretty much everywhere. So I was really surprised with how you're coming out with that approach, but particularly for areas that are highly vacation oriented, where you have large conventions and things of that sort taking place. I think Airbnb will be challenged in a number of those areas that move forward. But we have to see. We'll see what happens. Certainly from a real estate investment standpoint, we would like for them to take an approach that says, okay, it's an individual and what they're doing is legal and that's okay. But that's not typically the way things work. It's, in this case, as I indicated, it's all about the venue. When you break it all down, that's the real driving force here for not wanting to have Airbnb exist. My take, sorry if I took up too much time talking about that.
Anyone have anything to add on or any questions about that with Leon?
Well, I'm thinking that, in the bigger cities, yes, the Airbnb looks at it that way with the, taking off of their, income. But like in small towns, like the one I'm in and around the area here, there's not many big, places to hotels or whatever. The towns look at them as like you're drawing in more tourists, so they're more open and susceptible to wanting the Airbnbs around. So I mean, you gotta look at it that way. In smaller areas is what it is.
Yeah, you're probably right on that one. Doesn't affect the other hotels as much.
Well, there's even the small towns. So like Webster is deep into trying to get them killed. Pittsford's in process of trying to get them killed. Penfield's trying to get them killed. And it's because of the not in my backyard thing. It's the same thing when low income housing apartment complexes want to come into a town or a neighborhood, and the locals go in and shut it down because they don't want the parties, they don't want the noise, they don't want the traffic, they don't want all these other things. And generally speaking, the people on the councils and boards in those locations are the ones that are the most offended by people making money by renting out private residences in their neighborhoods. So it's definitely not a sure thing. And most of the time this flies under the radar until after it passes. And that's been the experience pretty much across the country for the small towns that have put the screws to it. So don't assume because it's a small town that it's going to be safe, because there's a huge bias in the not in my backyard syndrome that will come to bite you in the butt, and it'll cost you money.
Good to know, Andy. You're definitely up on all this stuff, aren't you? Holy smokes.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things to keep in mind is that we don't really know how it's going to be implemented, because at this point in time, all of the regulations that are being put in place it's really at more of a city town type level. We haven't had something be passed at like a New York State or at a state level. But if we take Buffalo, for example, in Buffalo, the way that they addressed it was, you can do Airbnb, but it can only be in this one area of Buffalo. Can't be anywhere else. And that's the way that they sort of addressed it and limited it by just saying, it's only going to be in this one little area. It can't be anywhere else. And they put in place regulations of that sort. So it'll be interesting to see how it all works its way out. And I think it'll be a while before you get anything that's consistent in any shape or form, other than the fact that for the most part, folks don't want to see it take place at the government level. Municipalities just don't want it, period.
Leon, what do you think about the hotel chains? Are
Well,
do they have any, they're actually fighting it also?
They're funding the fights. Yes.
They're funding, okay.
Yep.
They're losing a lot of money.
A lot of money, big dollars at fight here.
All right, to shift gears a little bit, I've been talking to other investors around the country, and some of them, I don't know how they're doing it, and I don't know if you can do it in New York State. They're wholesaling properties, and they're listed on the MLS. They have the permission from the current owner to market their property. And, they're giving the current owner what they want for the property, and they're taking it wholesale and putting it on the MLS. Joe, do you know anything about that in New York, or?
I've heard about that. I've never done it myself. But I know you can do that. You can do that as long as you have their permission. You can do whatever you want. I know some people that, I know the ones that didn't put it on the MLS, but they said, listen, I'm going to give you your price. I'm going to ask for a higher price. And on the purchase offer, he lets them know that, and he puts it on there. He has the right to show the property. And the owner's list like, hey, I'm getting my price. If you get more for it, if he's comfortable with it, more power to you. Nothing illegal about it. And if you can do it, great. Some homeowners take offense to it, because if you go there and you beat them up on the price, tell them their house is a piece of crap, and then next thing you know, you jack it up $20,000, they're gonna get really mad. Anything's possible in real estate. You can do it. I just have never done that. Especially on the MLS.
The other thing to chime in on, back to the short-term rentals thing, is watch or join, if you're interested in doing it or you're doing it already and you're not on the Facebook, Finger Lakes, upstate, I think it's upstate New York, Airbnb investors that Josh started. There's a lot of people who are saying it's crickets right now for all of their stuff in vacation areas. So stuff down in the Seneca Lake, Cayuga Lake, Wine Trail, Brewery Trail, they're getting 1 out of 4 weekends booked, and it's not a full booking. And they're like, we're starving, what's going on? Well, guess what? 63% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. They're not going to spend $1,000 to go down to the wine tour to spend money. They're going to take care of their stuff. So yeah, it's going to get bad. For anything involving disposable income is going to get real ugly for the next 24 months. And if your entire business plan revolves around other people's disposable income, and you're not catering to the top 2% of income earners in the country, you're going to have a bad day.
Yeah. And and by the way, this also ties in what you're, as far as what Scott was talking about. Scott, you were talking about the wholesalers that are going in and getting permission from the sellers. Obviously, inventory is going up. There's a 60, 90-day lag time, and in 60 to 90 days, as more inventory goes up, plus we're going into winter, plus we're going into the holidays. Now, typically the last few holidays, it's still been a crazy market, but we haven't had these market conditions. So sellers are going to be more open to different types of ideas or different types of ways of selling their properties. Okay. So, and obviously going in and saying, hey, listen, I'll buy your house. I'm going to try selling it for a higher price. And also depends on the situation, because it may not be a pretty house. It may be an ugly house. There's a lot more stuff going up on the MLS. As a matter of fact, yesterday I went and looked at a house that had been sitting on the market, I think almost 90 days. They wanted 90,000 for the house. It was worth about 110. And I originally offered the guy, I said, look, I'll be between $40,000 and $50,000. No pictures of the inside. The guy, so this was after like a couple of weeks of talking to him and going back and forth. The guy goes, the best I can do is you pay off my $57,000 mortgage at the bank here. It's a local bank, and pay off my back taxes of $7,000. I said, all right, let's see what we can do here. All of a sudden he came down, and I went through the house. I wouldn't give him $20,000 for the house. It was in such bad shape, hence, which is why it's been sitting on the market. But that guy was trying to be open to different types of scenarios to be able to get rid of the house. I just couldn't do anything for him. I just was just like, nope, can't help you. So Scott, these people who are wholesaling, and they can do that, there'll be a lot more of them. You watch, you know. And I mean, Scott, for you on the commercial end, for those of you who don't know, most of you do know, he does mostly storage facilities. I know he just closed on another one somewhere. Congratulations on that one. Is that your 11th one or 12th one, by the way?
Yeah.
He doesn't even know. So one of the things is that on the commercial part, especially on MLS, like Dom alluded to it earlier, Dom's finding deals on the MLS. Now, I know a guy who's found a bunch of them on the MLS over the last 4 months, 3-4 months. Okay. And because people are becoming more and more open to obviously hearing price reductions. Are you starting to see that too? Because I know, and by the way, this goes for people dealing in $5,000 houses, and Scott deals in $1 million properties, multi-million-dollar properties, everything in between. Okay. So Scott, what are you seeing? Oh, are you, I don't know if your mic is on, Scott.
Yeah. We're definitely starting to see more people being open to owner financing. And the facility we just closed on actually is in Kansas. So it's another new state for us. And yeah, there's still deals out there, commercial, residential and all that, but there's not the deals that there was. And to get into a commercial and residential and think you're gonna hotel it out or flip it for, X amount. A lot of people are seeing a tightening on that. With interest rates going up in the commercial market, used to be we were selling things at like a 6 cap. Now we're selling them more in like a 7.5 cap. So in other words, the price is coming down on them that we're able to sell them for because people's interest rates are going up. That's what we're starting to see in the commercial side of business. So, and sellers are becoming a little more savvy too. They have more people calling them in the self-storage business. So they're, having more options, but the ones we're talking to, some of them are willing to get creative. And Gabe and I are dealing with one, we're dealing with it right now and just trying to get through it with them. We made him 3 offers, and unfortunately the guy wanted he wanted the highest price for the property and didn't want to agree to the other terms that we put into it, at that higher price. So we just, at this point we can't move forward with him, but he is thinking about it. He's reconsidering some things, and I'm thinking that people who are ready to retire or get out of the self-storage business are, being a little more open to being creative to selling their properties with the owner financing. So,
Now, are you also
but then
going
you
back?
still have some like the guy with the house.
Wait, what was that, Scott?
I was going to say, you also have the people with the property like the house you were looking at, they're asking 90, it should be worth 110. You know, they want to get creative, but even after looking at the numbers, it still doesn't work. That house that you said, even at 20, we're seeing the same thing in self-storage and commercial, so that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
This property is still not worth it.
Now, I know typically like you and Gabe wouldn't go after properties on the MLS. Are you seeing the commercial stuff longer on the MLS? And are you guys going to be gearing toward going after some of those properties at all? Or are you just staying away from them?
Yeah, for most part, we're staying away from the MLS properties. We, and just like everybody here, there's nothing like dealing with the owners directly. On properties, when you start doing the MLS, you're kind of in that middleman, and your offer or your ideas don't always get, I guess, relayed the same way that we meant them. So if I see a deal on the MLS, yeah, I'm going to grab it, but I'm not actively looking on the MLS myself for deals. Right, Gabe? We're not looking for anything on the MLS.
I don't think I looked less than a year, so I don't know. I'm serious.
Yeah. I was wondering about that because I know like on the residential side, I got a buddy of mine, he's picked up so far, I think probably around 10 properties, maybe more, just off the MLS, stuff that was sitting there. And then he got them at his price. But, he hadn't done that in years. And I didn't know, I don't know if it was slower to hit the MLS as far as for commercial side, and obviously self-storage is wanted by everybody, but the interest rates are going to be the interest rates. So some of these people, are going to have to start adjusting their prices, whether they like it or not. So, can you guys still hear me, or did I lose you guys?
You're good. No worries.
All right. What the heck was it there? Dom, have you, you said you bought some off the MLS. Did you just start doing that, or was it something that you're looking at right now?
Joe, Dom's not on there anymore.
Oh, okay. Oh man, I just realized it was 10:30. Holy smokes. I didn't realize that. Oh, that's all right. I appreciate it. We try to keep this to 10:30 maximum, because I know people got to do their own stuff over here, but I don't know if anyone has anything else they want to add on to this. Scott, I don't know if you did. I know you joined in.
Just real quick. Did you talk about goals till the end of the year and then in 2023 or not yet?
No, we didn't have time. I didn't realize it was 10:30.
All right, let's like I said, I know I joined late. The next meeting in 2 weeks, it'll be in the evening. If you're on here now and you plan on being on 2 weeks, come on with your goals. If you're willing to share your goals, what goals did you set in 2022? How close are you to those goals? And what do you need to hit your goals? Is there anything we could do to help you? So let's think about that in 2 weeks. And then let's get ready to write down some goals for 2023 for everybody. It could be a simple goal. It could be a personal goal. It could be a business goal. Whatever, but let's kind of look at those, because we're winding down the year. Joe, how many Saturdays are left in this year?
Not very many. I think we're down to what, 7, I think I got to look, 7 or 8. I think we're at 8 right now. I haven't had a chance to look. But it's coming up fast. And then Andy pointed out something really, which is true. Even though we may have 8 weeks left in the year, the last 2 weeks are partial work weeks. So technically there's 6 full weeks left. And then that doesn't even include for Thanksgiving. If you take off 2 or 3 days for Thanksgiving, you've only got 5.5 real work weeks left till the end of the year. So, all right. Well, if you got to, I'll hang out for a few more minutes, and but appreciate everybody getting on. Everybody have a great day. Go do real estate, and we'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you. Scott, is it warm down there in Virginia?
Yeah, it's supposed to be really nice this weekend, like 74 degrees, but we're flying out to Denver on Friday for my sister-in-law's 60th birthday. And in Denver, it's nice now, but it's supposed to be like a high of 60 there this weekend. So,
Oh well.
yeah,
It's gonna be in the 70s here
Yeah.
tomorrow, supposedly.
nice, nice,
Oh.
very nice.
It's gonna be nice. Holy smokes, man. Yeah, you're getting out of the snow. At least you won't be flying into Denver when it's snowing out in winter.
Right. Yep, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Hang out here for a little bit longer and then start heading more south. So got a good news update yesterday on diesel. We'll see if it's true. There's supposedly a shortage of diesel coming on. There's only like a 25-day supply, but you know,
Wow.
saw some good news yesterday that, we're not going to run out of diesel, blah, 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 but the prices might go up on diesel. So which price go up on diesel, price can go up on regular gas too. So it's, a big compound effect.
It was only supposed to be like a handful of states that had issues too. It was like the Carolinas, Tennessee, Georgia, like a couple of other flyover states. It wasn't supposed to be like the whole country getting hammered with this diesel shortage thing. It's just like a certain set of states. There was like 11 states or something. Because I have to watch that stuff because of international shipping, and all of your freight trains run on diesel, and yeah, it's a mess.
Scott, does this still cost you $1 a mile to run your mansion on wheels there?
$1 a mile.
$1 a mile.
Yep, $1 a mile. That's it.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
Andy, that to me, Andy, that makes no sense why certain states are going to feel it. It's like, isn't there tankers that run like all over the country and all that? I don't understand, I don't know.
It's mostly refinery
wanna-
locations. So it's
Refinery
certain refineries and storage hubs do certain types of gas for different areas of the country. So like it's all the environmental regulation crap determines what additives are in each fuel for each state, which is why half the reason why fuel is so expensive is because they have to create different mixes for different areas depending on the insane laws that the government has passed for that particular state. So when you go to buy gas in New York, your mix is different than what's in Pennsylvania. It's different than what's in Massachusetts.
Okay.
So a lot of it has to do with regional shipping lanes and stuff, and what the affordability is of taking something where it costs $1 a mile to ship it. Is it worth shipping a tanker of truck at $1 a mile extra up to New York State from Texas? Probably not.
Okay. All right, good point.
Yeah. All right. Well,
All right.
Drop off. It's time to get started.
Have
All
fun,
right.
everybody.
Everybody have a great day. See you guys later. Thank you.
We'll see you.
Bye.
Yep. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Brandy.
See you later.